So I think before we start, we should do a roll call on the couch because we're going to be talking a lot about the game. And so I'm Petey Boo. I run the game.
I'm Monty.
They think I'm good. I'm not.
I'm Cypher.
I like being smart.
All right. So we're going to do hard mode, which is exactly the same as easy mode except less characters.
Yeah, there was a weird convention with puzzle games at this time where they made the difficulties, like the higher difficulties start you on a later enemy in the game, but nothing else changes. It's really weird.
Yeah.
All right. So if we can get ready on. All right. In 3, 2, 1, go.
So this is actually the first appearance of Wario'S Woods in a GDQ, so we're very excited.
Yes.
Yep. That's not what I wanted.
So you're going to see very quickly that one of the most critical strategies to running this game is assembling 5 and 6 clears all the time. What a 5 clear does is it does multiple things. It spawns a diamond, which the diamond itself does multiple things, but it helps clear a lot of blocks from your screen, and it also changes all the opponent's bombs into monsters, and you need to use bombs to clear things. And then additionally, the 5 clear lowers their ceiling. So lowering their ceiling is like the main way of killing them quickly. I know that was a lot to take in, but there's a lot of stuff going on in this game. We'll try to explain it as best as we can.
This is a very dynamic speed run. And you'll see Petey Boo in the earlier stages clearing all his monsters as fast as possible using the 5 combos and the gems. And then later on, we'll see a lot of crush kills, which we will explain later. But basically, every time you do a 4 combo or greater, the very looming thwomp block on your opponent's screen is going to lower. And it's really fun to see a crush kill.
And I think one of the things that makes this more unique than maybe some of the other games like Puzzle League or Tetris Attack that you might have seen in previous marathons is the fact that you are moving everything. You are moving the monsters. You are moving the... Yes, AGDQ file name there. You're moving the monsters. You're moving the bombs. You are... Whereas like in the Panel Pond games, you're switching horizontally. Or perhaps in Dr. Mario, or in Tetris, the stuff is dropping from the top of the screen. This is like you are in charge, and there's something so empowering about being able to do this fast when you are the one. If you make a mistake, it's on you. If you do well, it's on you. It's a really unique kind of puzzle game that's out there, and we're really happy it's at a GDQ. By the way, if you donate $10 during the run, you have the eligibility to get a really, really cool Wario'S Woods poster. I highly recommend it because it's amazing. So definitely get in for that.
Yeah, so I think we might have skipped to some more advanced stuff right away. In case you're still a little puzzled by what's going on the screen. The basic mechanic is clearing 3, and you need to have at least 1 bomb or diamond in a line of 3, and it could be sideways, up and down, or diagonal. And so because you're controlling Toad and you don't have like this abstract cursor, like, you know, it's a little more cumbersome to move around, but that just means that there's more skill involved in terms of actually moving stuff around quickly.
Yeah, and as with a lot of things in life, it's about efficiency and making sure. And one of the unique things, too, is once you get rid of an entire color, that color will not show up again. So right now, the only things that can drop from the ceiling are the cyan and the blue. And so...
Pink.
Cyan and pink. Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Don't
I
confuse
know
it between the
colors,
blues.
yes. I like being smart. I do know colors. But yeah, so once you clear out an entire color, that color can no longer drop. So it's very important, as well as getting the 5 clears early on, to try to just completely get rid of a color so you have less options to drop and are able to clear your monsters quicker than the opponent. But like they were saying, especially in normal mode in these earlier runs, you just want to crush. You want to lower the thwomp at the top of the screen. You do that by getting 4 or more in a row. And also something called breakfast eggs, where you can kind of do like if you
like
clear...
a multi-clear.
Yeah, like a multi-clear. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
So,
breakfasts are cool because when you use one piece to clear multiple lines and like all those clears are intersecting on one piece, then you can send an egg to your opponent's screen. If they don't hatch the egg in time, then it'll drop like a row of monsters on their screen. And it's just like a really funny thing.
Yeah.
And then there is one final way of like attacking your opponent, which is the chain, where that's like something you'll know from Puzzle League, where you clear something and then the
Like
pieces that drop from that then lead to another clear. And then that sends a column of monsters to your opponent. However, the column is all of the same color, so it's pretty easy to clear columns sent by chains. Chains also accomplish something else. You'll see 2 bars in the middle at the top that are constantly going up throughout the round. And when the bar reaches the top, then Raven mode starts. And during Raven mode, both bombs and monsters are being dropped. And you never want to be in Raven mode, just ever.
No.
So by getting a chain, you actually lower the bar that is determining when you go to Raven mode.
It's interesting you call it a raven. There's quite a debate about what that creature actually is.
Okay, it's officially a Pidgeot from Super Mario Bros. 2 US.
However,
but,
if you read the game manual that comes in the box, it says it's the black bat.
Who does that?
Yeah, they just totally screwed up there. I'm used to calling it Raven mode, so.
I used to call it an owl for what it's worth.
Yeah, I called it an owl as well.
Well, hopefully you don't see the owl ever, at
Yes,
least on our
that's-
side during the run.
Oh, so our enemy here has a breakfast egg and a gem. So if it clears it, all of PD's monsters bombs turn into monsters.
Luckily, I didn't have too much, so it didn't affect me.
So if you've been watching the AI's part of the field, you'll notice that it's not very good at playing the game. But occasionally it'll get lucky and like send stuff over to your field. So you don't really want that to happen. Like if they send stuff over, it's just gonna waste time. It's just part of the RNG of this game.
Right there's kind of a neat mechanic where you can get like a diamond clear off of another diamond clear, and you can kind of, that's another quick way to get rid of things. So the
Oh.
Okay.
So you see right
Thanks,
there,
game.
the opponent sent a chain and it sent a column over to PD, but he was able to clear it right away.
Right.
This game does that. But it's really cool. Like we said, this game has never been in a GDQ. One day I randomly just started playing and it's like, hey, and then people just started running it again. Cypher had a run up on speedrun.com and it's like, oh, this could be a speedrun game, cool. And so the thing you won't notice through one playthrough, but you will notice when you play multiple times, is that there's a set amount of patterns that go with particular stages. So we were like, oh, cool, so we can just look at the patterns and then figure out how to do the patterns with the bombs, but the bombs are still random. And then shout-outs to a guy named DruidBot who came up with an RNG list for the bombs. So what the game does is it has a certain bomb list, and then at the beginning of the next stage it will skip ahead 64, I think. And so what DruidBot made for several of the runners is he made a list of bombs, so you can see exactly what bombs are going to drop in what order. And so I've kind of been doing a little bit of work on finding where these guys' RNG seeds are. And it's really interesting. And not super interesting from a stream perspective, but just from a nerd perspective.
It's a pretty good pattern.
But it's incredibly fascinating. But basically what you need to know is that there's not necessarily a god seed. I hate to break it to you. Because these guys are just so good that they can make almost anything work. But depending on your play style, you want certain color bombs to drop earlier or later. But it's just the fact that I'm able to go through somebody's VOD, I could go through this VOD later and just know what bombs are going to drop, the next 6 bombs down the line, just because of DruidBot's work, and hopefully we can translate that into some better times. I think it already has, honestly.
I'd say.
Yeah.
So, because Cypher played this, and then all of a sudden, Monty and PD came in and just. The world record now is what? For this mode is...
For this mode, it's 18 minutes.
1832.
Okay, so for perspective, I ran this game way back in 2010, and I got a 27-minute time in this mode. I focused more on another mode called Expert Mode, which you might see in a later GDQ one day, maybe. But the expert mode involves like more bombs or more monsters being started on each field. But yeah, normal mode was like 27 minutes back in the day. And then Wario'S Woods didn't really see any running activity for a long time until like roughly last year or the year before.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just exploded. Like people from the puzzle community, puzzle speedrunning community just picked it up. And Montucky, PD Boo, Nicole, and others have just been really pushing it. There was even like a tournament that happened, which was a lot of fun to participate in.
So one of the other things with the patterns I did want to bring up as well is part of the, as you see in the middle column beneath where the stars are flashing, there are 2 different types of monsters. So like what you call them is up for debate, but they're like, I think of them as the bunnies, and shout outs to my mom. She actually calls those like the little like things you plug in. Like those dudes, I don't know. That's what she thinks they look like.
Plugs?
But yeah, like the
Like an outlet?
Well, the wall outlets, yeah.
You mean an outlet?
That's
yeah,
cute.
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
Like
I know
the
she's
round
watching.
ones, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Hi, Mom.
I can kind of see that, maybe.
We're strange buds. But anyway, so the interesting thing when it comes to the bomb RNG is that they're kind of grouped within those colors. So for example, on this pattern, there's blue, yellow, and cyan for the one, and then yellow, green, and pink for the other set of monsters. And so when the bombs drop, they drop kind of in those groups and switch between. So that's kind of like when you're playing the game more often, that's how you know what color bombs are going to drop. Is okay, so if I see a dark blue bomb drop, I know that a yellow and cyan are coming relatively close. And if I have some long line of red monsters I need to clear, there's no point in picking them because it's not going to come for, like here, like the red bomb should be in like 2, like 4, something like that. So there's no point in setting up that red diagonal line, right? You can wait, or you can't. But if you don't know,
Looks like it's paid off for PD.
4chain.
But that's kind of the idea. So it's the RNG is so fascinating, but inherently boring for.
And so one thing I'd like to
morning.
point out about PD's run so far, he's got really good patterns. So in each stage, we can group them together in various ways. There are 16 different patterns that PD could get. And PD so far has gotten, in my opinion, some of the more optimal stages, this being one of them. An optimal stage really is anything you can set up a 5, or in my personal preference, a 6 combo and like 5 or 6 moves. Because in these later stages, we're looking for crushes. I don't know if we mentioned it earlier. When you get a 4 combo, so clearing 3 monsters with a bomb, it lowers the thwomp by 1, a 5 combo by 2, and a 6 combo by 3. And so we can get some really fast crush kills in the late game with good patterns. There are also some crap patterns,
Nice.
and we will see those undoubtedly.
Because there's kind of like 3 sections to this run too. There's whatever this is.
It's like the mountain area.
Mountains.
And like starting at Sarissa, we see the same patterns all the way through Wario and normal versus com. I don't know if you noticed that before.
Really?
But in expert, it changes. Well, of course, you know what kind of patterns are in
Yeah.
expert in the castle.
Yeah.
Because you know the
it's-
game cheats.
Right.
Just a heads up if you do want to run this game. There is a lot of cheating involved.
Yes.
Not by the runner.
Yeah, but you'll have noticed that PD's getting way more crush kills now because both players are starting with much higher stacks than in the early game. Like, I think in the early game you start with like 4 rows.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Whereas here you're starting with like 6.
Yeah.
So he's much, the opponent is much closer to the ceiling, and it only takes like 2 combos to kill him.
And even though the AI doesn't really know how to play the game, it is very defensive. If the AI clears anything diagonally, their thwomp will
Dude,
raise.
They get so many diagonals when you want them to just die. It's
I
so
swear.
annoying. It's so annoying.
I'm convinced the programmers, it's the only thing they program for the AI to do.
Yeah,
is
just
like,
get
a diagonal.
Just get as many
and-
diagonals as possible. Because diagonals raise the ceiling 1.
Yeah.
A 4 combo raises it by 2, and then various other things raise it more.
Yeah, I've always wondered how much a chain raises is. It seems like it raises it all the way up, and it's very frustrating.
I don't know if it's all the way up, but it's a lot.
Or like even
It's
a
a lot,
breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast and chains both raise it a lot.
Well, it's probably because the breakfast is a 5 clear in a sense. You're clearing.
Yeah.
Well, you're clearing 4 monsters with the bomb, so 5
Right.
clear.
Just one moment to appreciate the beautiful art in the background there.
I was saying before the run, why didn't we have someone paint a creepy Wario
Yes.
smile tapestry or
With
something?
Wario's cross-eyed smile.
So. No, this is what we consider Castle. It's the last 4 stages. If you ever play the game and read through the character dialogue, they'll basically say when you get to this point, you'll never lose, we always win, and stuff like that. Which it doesn't seem so true in normal mode, but sometimes in expert mode, it's definitely.
This is such a good pattern. I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Like for
That's
any
great.
beginner that's played versus Com, this is the sweetest pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, a major factor in how good a given run is of this game. It's dependent on like the patterns you get, like the starting board patterns, because some patterns just lend themselves to easy 5s way better than others, and that's a huge deal.
Crushing there.
Really sweet patterns here.
Jeez. Yeah, these patterns are really good.
Oops.
Great run.
Doesn't matter.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
we've
this is
seen
like
a
sub
really
20
bad
pace. This is
pattern.
sub 20 pace, right?
This is definitely
Yeah.
sub 20 pace.
yeah, crazy.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, so we've seen this pattern before, but if you were paying attention, you noticed that there was a different bomb pattern for this. And so this can be troublesome if you're really accustomed to doing something a certain way.
right, the lists. I forgot to talk about the lists. So I have been talking about the lists, but the other part of the lists that are fascinating is that there are 4 lists. The way Druid set them up is that it skips 64 bombs to the next beginning, and it goes down, 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 and then it skips. But that is set, right? So once PD enters the file, that is completely set for the entire file. How you change that is through the demo mode at the beginning. You can change that through round game, and you can change that through something called time mode as well, with how many bombs drop, and that will shift the RNG seed for the versus com run. Now, interestingly enough, multiplayer, there's like a little demo of multiplayer at the beginning. That actually does not affect the RNG seed, which is kind of weird.
Ooh, that was
Yeah.
nice.
1 second. He stole my soup.
Yes, so,
Yeah, so if you didn't notice before, our runner here is cosplaying as Harry H. So all these, I guess we didn't mention that, all these characters do have names. And
Yeah.
You see them at the very end when you beat them for the 3rd time. And some of them have pretty cool names.
Did you guys know that if you lose to one of these enemies and then reface them, they have different dialogue?
yes.
No, really?
Yeah,
Yes,
they do.
they
They
do.
do.
That.
They do.
Yeah. I can't
believe I
They
didn't
like
notice
taunt
that.
you and stuff.
Look,
They're like,
like-
"Oh, you lost. Oh, you
You're
better
back
do
for more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
They say stuff like that.
Like, haha, you didn't catch me cheating.
yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's really and the other thing is the Toad will have like a grumpy face too.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah.
Toad's face will be like super
Oh,
mad.
I want to see this
I-
grumpy Toad face, Petey. You should lose.
No, you
Dude,
are on
this face
sub
is
20
too good.
20
You're,
case,
dude, you're scared he's gonna beat your
Please.
record right now.
No.
I'm not gonna lie. I am a little shook, but it's okay. It's okay. Good luck, Petey.
So one more thing I wanted to mention about the lists is that so sometimes the way Jude set them up is there were a list 1, list 2, list 3, list 4. But for some reason that I cannot figure out, sometimes the 4th list doesn't exist. So what will happen is instead of advancing 64 bombs forward in the RNG, it'll bounce back. So instead of going list 1, list 2, list 3, list 4, it will go list 1, list 2, list 2, list 3. And the 4th list won't even exist.
Oh, that was nice.
So I don't know if it's depending on the cart. I don't know if it's depending on something in round mode. But all of these guys, I checked their runs for the RNG list. All of them have had a run with list
Set
4
that
and
pattern
without
like 3
list 4.
times now.
So, yeah, I know Druid knows more about how the patterns. I think it's something about the frames before you start the stage. But it's really
really
fascinating. Yeah.
So this is an example of a pattern that, in my opinion, is not optimal. You can see there aren't a lot of fast ways to get a 5. Well, of course, there's one right there. However, even though we said there's 16 patterns per stage, unique patterns, we've really been seeing the same 3 or 4 pretty often in Castle, wouldn't you all say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
By the
how
way,
you-
this is Wario. This is the final opponent of the
Oh,
game.
yeah. This is
Yeah.
the reason why it's Wario's Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're wondering where Wario was
Yeah.
in Wario's Woods, well, here
right.
he is.
Respect the lore.
And it's not really intuitive because we start the game in like the hills or something against the ghosts, but you do
Yeah.
start the game in easy mode in actual woods.
Yes.
So it's why
Yeah.
this isn't like Wario's castle or like Wario's crib or something. But
Really, fam?
nice chain.
Really? Oh, come
fine.
on, dude. It's good.
Yeah, that's
good. That's good. This game does that. It gives, it takes.
At some point, there's like a lot of rebounds in Wario's Woods. A lot of things happening at the same time.
Oh, very nice find there. There you go.
All right, one more round.
One more
All
round.
right.
So
You got 13 seconds to get sub 20.
I don't think I'm gonna get that.
Not with this pattern, especially.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, nice. Nice follow up with the blues there.
Very. Oh,
Whoops. Come on.
so good.
Ooh.
Ah,
That was a very creative chain.
Wow.
yes. Oh,
Breakfast. Breakfast.
no! And
Might as well get rid of it.
oh, man.
Oh, this is almost done here.
And
All right,
sometimes
time's
it's gonna
coming
be, like right as soon as he put up, as soon as Toad throws
And
up.
Time.
Nice. Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Excellent run.
That's a great run.
Nice low 20.
All right.
So if you enjoyed Wario's Woods, you should definitely join our Discord, the Puzzle General, where we talk about Wario's Woods and other puzzle games. And in the Puzzle General, we have an event coming up called the Puzzle Mystery Challenge, which is like the mystery tournament on SRL, but it's with all puzzle games. So if you like
man.
that, you should come over to the Puzzle General.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Amazing run.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for having us.
Yeah.
Woods!